So here we have 3 models of Koenigsegg's Sadair spear. We have the real version, we have a miniature LEGO version over here, and then finally, and maybe most impressively, we have a full-size working drivable LEGO Koenigsegg Sadair spear, even has working ghost mode with it as well. So the LEGO model version has 4,104 pieces, and this life-size LEGO Technic car has over 327,000 LEGO Technic elements. And funnily enough, the weight of this car actually isn't too far away from the real car. So this weighs about 1,800 kilograms, which is just over 100 kilograms heavier than the real version. It also has a top speed of about 100 kilometers an hour. And as you'll see in a minute, it actually reached 111 kilometers an hour going downhill at Goodwood. And in total, to build this car took about 9,400 hours, and it was between 18 people working around the clock to get this thing built. And I think even more impressively, they then managed to ship it from the Czech Republic over to Sweden. Of course, the real version has just as many amazing features, whether it be the full carbon fiber body, or the vortex wheels, or even the spear running down the side into the aero down here. The amazing thing about the full-size LEGO version is that the designers had over 327,000 Technic elements to work with. But the challenge becomes much harder when you take all of that engineering, all of those details, and all of those shapes, and try squeezing it in just over 4,100 pieces. So before we take a look at the finished model, I wanted to hear from the people who actually designed it.
Movements you need to do, with a lot of engineering behind it, and all the elements we develop at the same time, and a lot of people involved. And there's many more steps in between these. So I think I have maybe 15 models more in the office.
Was there any new elements needed for ghost mode, or is it all built with existing?
Not for the ghost mode, actually, no. That was surprisingly, because that's made of elements we already had. So we needed mostly the rims and all the things on the inside for the gearbox, and also a panel for creating the roof line, because we don't have a corner piece like this. That's basically for the inside, all the novelty and all the new elements. So I think it took like 2-3 months to come up with a color that could work for both brands. So we ended up with this color scheme, black with the dark orange.
If I take a step back, we'll see that we actually do have one of these models in that color. So Steve, what's going on?
Yeah, as Kasper said, the beautiful brown of our launch car didn't quite translate into the model. So we had a lot of fun of going through all the possible LEGO colors and thinking of which one we could use. But we really fell in love with the idea of having a black model that matches our beautiful visual carbon cars.
Supposed to do the ghost mode in it, so it works. When you lift the rear clamp here, bam.
So as you've just seen, LEGO has been out to build something nearly as impressive as the real life-size Koenigsegg, and not just in the life-size drivable car, but let's be honest, that was a real engineering challenge to be able to squeeze that down into a much smaller scale with so many details. So now let's have a look at how this project came about, and also how fast the real life-size LEGO car can go.
He is on the start line and he is about to head off.
3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, good launch. Feels strange going this way.
And the good news is it looks like the brakes work, which is always reassuring. Okay, he's now approaching the iconic Flint wall. Personally, I'd be bricking it right now. Excuse the pun.
We have to try to keep it as tight as possible here. Okay, a little bit scary that part.
That ghost is looking awfully pale right now.
Super impressed by the handling. Let's see how fast she can go.
He's already up to 97 now, 98, 100k, so we're into 3 figures. Oh, he's tucking it so tight. He is moving. Oh! Whoa. 111 kilometers an hour. That is definitely a record. Well done. Yeah! Finally. How did it feel?
Incredibly smooth. Feels like a normal car. The brakes are really good, and then the steering and the suspension.
The wildest thing is you're describing it like you're driving an actual Koenigsegg, which in itself is impressive, right?
And when you're in the car, it feels like the same environment.
Christian, we officially have the fastest ever Lego car.
A brand new record. Another one for Koenigsegg. Well done.
Seeing a LEGO car reach 111 kilometers an hour is ridiculously impressive, but the speed was never really the point, because this isn't just another random car that LEGO decided to recreate. The Sadair spear represents the end of an era for Koenigsegg. Over the last decade, the Koenigsegg hypercars have been built around the Jesko platform, and the Sadair spear is now the final chapter in this story. And this is honestly the most beautiful car I've ever seen in person. From these amazing wheels, which by the way, each wheel had to be created separately. So the left and right wheels, the turbines on them needed to spin the other way, and then also the back wheels are slightly bigger than the front wheels, so each individual wheel had to be moulded differently. Another one of my favourite features of this car has got to be the spear going down the side just before the inlet here. And finally, the other piece that is just so striking on this car is the rear wing. It even has Koenigsegg written underneath and is an absolutely huge rear wing, but I do think it looks beautiful. One of the craziest things for me about this car is actually how much creature comforts you still get in such a lightweight car. We still have full aircon, we have an infotainment system, everything on this car has been designed from the ground up, and it's so special to be able to see this in person. Nothing on this car exists by accident. So if LEGO wanted to recreate a Koenigsegg, they couldn't just make something that seemed similar, they had to capture the details that made a Koenigsegg feel like a Koenigsegg. And that's where things get interesting. The first thing that stands out to me is actually how they've used all of these miniature diamond shapes to create the body of the car. Now, for anyone that hasn't picked up on it already, these diamonds are basically a representation of the Koenigsegg logo. So it's like the logo has been placed all over the car, and it's really clever how these have been put together. So they've all been connected with ball joints, which means they have the flexibility to create the complex curves and the flowing shapes over the bodywork. Not only does this look surprisingly close to the real car, it also gives the structure enough strength to support a fully drivable vehicle. For me, the most impressive part of this entire build is actually the front end. The real Sadair spear is covered in aerodynamic surfaces, vents and channels to direct the airflow around the car. Recreating that in carbon fibre, I'm sure is difficult enough, but I would actually say that recreating that in LEGO is probably even more challenging. It's not identical, but considering the limitations of the LEGO Technic system, I think they've done an incredible job of capturing the character of the car. As you've probably already seen, this is not a static display piece. This full-size LEGO car actually drives and even has working ghost mode. The attention to detail even continues inside. So we have the full LEGO Technic interior, obviously with a real steering wheel from Koenigsegg, and we even have a brick-built LEGO key that goes in the key holder. The rear wing is a place where LEGO have done a great job, but they also could have done a little bit better as they've neglected to write Koenigsegg on the underneath of the rear wing. But I guess I can let them off with that because I think it would have been virtually impossible to have built out of LEGO, and it definitely would have impacted the aerodynamics of the car, so the only way they could have really done it is with a giant sticker. The amazing thing is that the designers had over 327,000 pieces to work on this version, but they had to build this in less than 6 months. But the challenge doesn't actually stop there. because they also had to capture all of those same details again using just 4,100 pieces with a model that is 8 times smaller than the real car. The biggest thing that stood out to me about this car is that they've actually designed 19 new elements for this car. Now, this is about 3 times more than any other LEGO set in regards to new elements. After spending some time with both the real car, the full-size LEGO version, and now this model version, you start to appreciate just how many details have been carried across into the smaller scale. And honestly, some of them work better than I expected. The first thing that surprised me was the colour scheme. Looking at the official images, I wasn't completely sold, but I've seen the model in person now, and it is a completely different story. The colour combination of the black and the dark tan does a fantastic job and looks really good at capturing the aggressive look of the real Sadair sphere. However, what they've not done such a good job on is these headlights. There's been a lot of talk about these headlights already and how they've been printed and not brick built. I don't think it's a real issue personally, because when you see the real car up close, the headlights may as well be a sticker because they do not protrude in any way from the bodywork of the car. And I think for LEGO to have actually tried to build these headlights in, the whole of the rest of the front of the car would have actually been thrown off for such a small little detail, which does look just about good enough with the printed parts. You know, at least we're not having any stickers for them, and now at this price point, I do understand the disappointment here, but I can get over this because I think the details on the rest of the car is good enough. And also, after learning about all of the new elements they've designed, I don't think they've actually cut costs here, especially with the car actually being priced pretty much the same price point as the McLaren P1 that we got 2 years ago, remembering at how many price increases we've had on LEGO in the last 2 years. Another detail about this model version is actually the wheels. Now again, I think this is a place where LEGO have not spared expense because they have created different molds for the right and the left side of the car, just like the real Sadair sphere. As far as technical functionality of the car goes, the gearbox is the most impressive thing, as there is a fully working 9-speed transmission. And funnily enough, Christian von Koenigsegg even mentioned how the gearbox on the LEGO car is actually technically bigger than the gearbox on the real life car, because the LEGO version, they had to make this gearbox so long to get this 9-speed transmission to work. And by the way, it literally does have 9 fully working LEGO gears. Of course, the model is definitely not perfect, and just like the full-size LEGO version, there are a few small details that haven't made the transition across. For example, the Koenigsegg branding under the rear ring is missing again. Again, it's a small thing probably most people will never notice, but it's a shame it's not there. And after spending as much time as I did around all 3 versions of the car, these are definitely the things I started looking for. One detail LEGO absolutely did include though, is the Koenigsegg logos on the rear. And I think this is a great little addition. I think it looks really cool along with the interior of the car. I think in such a small scale, they've done a great job of the interior. So after spending a day with all 3 versions, which one is my favorite? Well, the real Sadair sphere is obviously the most impressive. It's a combination of years of engineering innovation and obsession with performance only a company like Koenigsegg could create. The life-size LEGO version is definitely the most ridiculous. The fact that the team managed to recreate a hypercar and get it to 111 kilometers an hour out of LEGO is just insane. But I would actually say I was most surprised by the Technic model because I wasn't really expecting much of an upgrade on the McLaren P1. But I do think there's been a hell of a lot of upgrades, and way more than I expected. Now, the printed headlights won't be for everyone, and there are a few small details from the real car that didn't make the jump across. After seeing all 3 versions side by side and listening to the designers talk about the constraints of building within the LEGO system, I do think they have done a pretty incredible job. And honestly, the fact today I got to visit the Koenigsegg factory, be a passenger in a real Koenigsegg, driving for about 5 minutes back to the factory, and seeing this real life-size Technic model all at the same time is something I'll never forget. So if you did enjoy this video, make sure to subscribe and let me know in the comments which version you would like to see the most.